What am I going to need? That'll do, then I can wash it off. Oh, I can't wash that off. Bloody hell. Let's see. Got that. Boom, 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 shake the room, boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 shake the room. Boom, 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 shake the room. Oh. Right. Oh, it's me. Oh, for God's sake, it's an eyelash. Oh, I'm a bit early. A bit premature. I'm going to change it. No. Alexa, play brain music, please.
Brain music and similar songs on Amazon Music.
Oh, I forgot them. Oh, they'd be quite nice, wouldn't they? They'd be quite nice. Oh, and them. Oh, come on. Alexa, stop. No, I'm not liking them. Oh, we've got some people in Beverley. Hello. Yes, I'm a bit premature today. Right, so what you're going to need today is I've got my acorns. Got my little sketchbook there, and this will be free to my Patreons. This drawing plan, so I'm happy about that. I'll just shut that for a minute. Yeah, we're going to do Cubism2. I'm hoping that we get more than 2 people, but I know mine get a lot of views later on, so it does make you feel like you're not wanted. I can't get this lid up. Oh, there we go. So I've got this acorn I got ages ago. No. And I've left it to dry on the windowsill. No. Yeah. But they dry at different rates, so that'll do. So I've got my acorn. I'm wondering whether you can see that very well. I'll bring it a little bit closer, I think. Right. There we go. There we go. That's it. Okay, so I'll bring you a little bit closer and a little bit nearer to me. So I've got my acorn. Tiny bit. And I get a glare. Oh, that's horrible. Horrible. I'm not having that. I'm just going to get a bit of that on there. These are rubbish. Jeez. What I don't want to do is put too much in it because I want it to be able to move. But I don't want it glued in. Oh, well, that's really open, isn't it? Right. Okay. Right, that's not perfect, but that'll do for now. So we've got this acorn, and I'm just going to look at the size and shape of it, and it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I will start to draw it. So I've got some drawing tools. Jenny, hello. So I'm going to put this in the Patreons for people to use. So let's go with I'm going to put a center line like that. Okay. And I'm looking at that, and I'm putting a line there and a line there. Right. So, and then a line there. Now that doesn't look right to me. So make that a bit bigger. So this is just how I do it. So if you're in my Patreon, you won't need to do this. So I'm just right. So I quite like that's about right. So I'm going to run 2 lines up there. Okay. So that's about right. It sort of curves. Doesn't have to be perfect, because after all, this is just going to be like a little starting point for us. I know that does not look like an acorn. Hi Jack, you okay? So I'm just drawing in, and that still doesn't look. So to get that right, I'm going to have to bring it in each time. And this is how I tend to get my things sort of looking right. So get them the shape I want, and then I can bring them in and keep bringing them in till I'm happy. I'm never happy. So you can see now the acorn's pretty simple to do. So what I can do now is just do a full shape. Oh, right, okay. So this pattern will be in my Patreons. It won't be if I drop it. And I will just knocking, it's annoying me. So if you wanted to draw your own, that's how I would use mine. Audrey, hello. Hello. I think it's Lindsay, isn't it? Or Linda. Not too sure. So I've got my acorn, which could be, I could push it down even more. But my Patreons will all get that. When you can mess about like that, changing the shape of it, that picture's crap. So I'm looking at the bottom of it, and it's got real. Hello, Dawn. Lindsay, it is Lindsay. I knew it was. Can you see all the bubbles? And they're sort of like. Now, they don't obviously look like this. This is me just making a sort of artistic interpretation. No, I'm just making it up, basically. I'm hoping to get my things done today, Dawn. and I'll bring them round if you want me to pick you up on Thursday. Right, so it's got this wonderful sort of glow, and there's a big outline there. Maybe you can't see it, but can you see? There's a massive, let me just, you could just see it there, can you? And it's like there. So we're going to drop that in because that is what makes it that. And then there's another one there. So it's like, so that's the lighting. Okay. So quite like that. Yeah. That's going to be the acorn drawing. Okay. So that's it done quite big. And I think, you know, considering what we're doing at home, it might be easier for you to see it a bit bigger. But I'm going to do a couple of things today. So we did our cubism last week, didn't we? We had homework. Very impressed with that. So I'm going to take another piece of this. So this is basically what I'm going to be drawing on. And I've made it purposely quite small because I can do a number of things on this. So the first thing is, if you want to, you can use graphite to redraw everything, you know, if you wanted to. So that on, draw through this, and this is pretty thick card. So yeah, you'd put that there, the graphite paper, and then that, but I'll redraw it. So I'm just gonna do it by eye, as they say, by eye. What on earth is wrong with this camera? Right, so I'm going to redraw it the way I did. Okay. Okay, so those of you that didn't draw it before, you draw the line, which is going to be like that, because I'm looking at it that way. So we draw a line, okay, down the middle, edge and edge. So I'm looking at that, and I know it's about there, where that one bit goes there. And then I'm just going to go to there. So I know that it's not like that. Okay, it might need to be a bit bigger. And then this goes to fit in it. And by turning your page or your paper, you're making life a lot easier for yourself. Now, I think that that is a bit too big. So, and if you look at that, it's fatter. So, it sort of goes, it's like it's wearing a beret. Okay, getting better. So, I'll rub out some lines. Sorry if you couldn't see the lines before. See that line now? He's got his hat on. And it's a bit bigger than that because it sits in it, if that makes sense. So we've got our acorn. I'm just rubbing out all the extras that I don't need, because I'm going to do something really simple to break it down. So cubism, you know, word association, cube, line, straight, draw, square, oblong, you know, all these things, 3D, 2D, it's just what you associate with that word, yeah? So you associate those things, and then those things come into play when you're doing it. So what I'm going to do now is I've chosen this acorn because I think an acorn's a wonderful shape, and I'm just going to do some dissecting lines now. So what I need to do is I've got my idea, I've got where I want it, and I'm going to use, I'll use an 8/0 so you can see it, but I would normally use something a little bit finer. So there we go. Okay, so I've made the acorn complete. Just going to rub out any extra lines. And I love doing this. I used to do this with year 7 so they could get the concept of what they thought would have been a boring thing, you know, into something that makes sense. So on the original drawing, you can put in the highlight again if you wish. You know, there was a big block there, a block there, and that was a highlight for it. Just going to get rid of pencil lines, and I'm using the watercolor again, the paper that I got from Karen, which is great because she got me this. But I do apologize that I've only just I thought I'd already put the stream thingy out, but I hadn't. Hello Maria. And I hadn't put it out, so nobody knew I was going to do it, I think. So we look at cubism. We're going to take this part, what we did last week. We look at it, we're thinking, right, okay, we're going to dissect these things. But how do you do it? Well, you can do it with dissecting with straight lines and curves. And you basically can go with either, but it all depends on how difficult you want to make it for yourself, or not difficult, challenging, because you could do it so that it's quite simple or more challenging. So what do I mean by that? Well, I've got a compass and you just need a straight edge, which would be a ruler. If you haven't got a ruler, a piece of card will do. And you're just going to dissect it now. So I'll show you the couple of ways, okay? So the first one is, all I'm going to do is go for it. Okay, so I'll bring it up closer. Now, obviously, the more you put in, the harder it'll be. So you can see there's lots of dissecting lines. Okay, so if I wanted to do that, that's great. I'll just draw another one on this side. So here's my other one. There we go. So here's the rounder one. Okay, I'm going to show you with the round one. So I'm going to get the compass out. Now, you can do the 2, which I think looks really good. if you mix and match the two, but I didn't want to quite get you too traumatized, right? So this is with all the circular lines and with the sections. So we're going to start with this one. I think it's going to be easier. So all I've done is dissected it. Now, there's two ways we can go further with this. So the first thing we can do, and I'll just do, we could do on with dissecting. Right, two curved. Okay, and then what we can do is we can foreground, fore and aft ground, or back. So by that we can change the foreground, the background, and we can do that with this, and we can create lots of different interest. Now I'm just going to stick to the one because, and then you go to file, we can go to collage, and the foreground and background can be done in different mediums. When you're doing collage, you can pick out, it's just a brilliant source of information and great ideas for colour. And then if you've got an image of a person, if you've got right to do it, that you like, then you can do the same by dissecting lines and cut it, and that's a montage. So let's have a look at this, and I'm just going to go now. You can go in with black lines. I'll leave that up to you, but it is up to you, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to do with some watercolour. So what I've got to choose now, a range of whatever colour you want. So I'm going to go with a range of browns, okay? And I'm doing that because oranges and browns, you don't have to use those colours. No way do you have to use those colours. They're just colours I'm using. And I'm ignoring, I'm not putting on black lines just yet, because I don't think I want to actually. Let me just turn that over. So there we go. So I'm looking at that as well. So if you want to get that out. So the next thing, let's have a bit. I'm using watercolour paper. I think this is from Hobbycraft, which is great. And I'm just going to look for my palette. So I'm looking at now my browns here. So I'm going to take a look at my palette, and it's important that you know what you've got in your palette. Oh, it's right under your doofer. So I'm just looking for the palette now and just seeing what I've got and what they look like. Will it be appropriate? Yeah, we've got some nice colours there. What's that one? Oh, that's a nice dark one there. What's this one? Oh, that's a stunning brown as well there. So I have got my colours I'm going to use, and I've got to be mindful of where I want them. Okay, so it's a little bit big for all of them, but it should work. Finer one. Okay, now what we're going to do is just forget about light and dark on this, and we're just going to go for it. So I've got a very dark brown, almost black. Now, I've added the colour, washed my brush off and brought it down. Okay, so I've gone for one section. I'm going to go in with another section, and I'm only doing it in that section. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's your artwork. So I'm going to take a little bit of the warmer one. So what you can do is lay it down, add some colour. Don't worry about those lines yet. If you want to add more, you can. You know, add a bit of depth. I'm just putting I'm just putting base colours down now, so I don't have to worry about you know, don't have to worry too much about the depth of them at the moment. So, and I'm going to go, let's see. Like that. So I'm just following the lines, but I'm not, you know, just living to the lines, if you know what I mean. Because you are just using them as a guideline at the moment. Trying to not put two colours next to each other. So, told you it was easy. Because I'm not using that much water, and the paint is the paper's 100% cotton. Thanks again, you know, Karen. I really appreciate this paper. It's allowing me to put colour on, but without it bleeding too much. You know, into each other. So we've got to look round here. So here I might need a very dark one. And you might get to the point where you go, oh, I'm sick of that, I'm not putting out in there. Just give it a go, because that might be the one bit that makes a difference to your work. And the dark colour, I'm balancing it, if you see what I mean, by taking it into several places. So I'm just checking me. So here I'm looking at this in between colour there. I might take that off, put a little bit of that. Same one, you silly woman. Now, if you do find when you're doing this that two colours are very visibly similar, you can drop in a bit of another colour to make your own, and I'm going to do that here because that is way too similar to that one. It probably is the same one, you see. So just let that dry. It won't look that bad when I've done it. Doesn't look too great now, but you know. So what I'm doing there is just add in a little bit of the dark up there to balance it, because it looks a bit odd without balancing it too much. I do need to add some more, so I'm conscious of that. What I want to do now is add these, but I'm going to add a green with the brown. So if I use a little bit of this, there's a lot less sections in this bit, and I wanted that on purpose. I did want that on purpose because I thought that would be a really good way of making the focal point where I want it. It's too green, so I'm going to drop in with a bit of the brown. It's much better. It's got that greeny brown cast. I'll try another one over here. Put in a little bit of that, going with a little bit of this. So you can start with one colour, you know, and just substitute different colours with it. Like that one's way too dark now, so I'm going to pop a little bit there. There we go. So I hope this is making sense now. So what we're doing is we're isolating the sections and adding colour, but it's the similar colours. So we've got like a predominantly brown colour in different sizes of sections, but then we've added light next to dark, dark next to light. We've added like a slightly different concentration of browns and whites here. Not white, sorry, browns and greens. Now that might be way too much for me, and I think it could be. So what I might do is just wait for the next step. So I've put some green on there, and I'm just going to go in with that's too similar. So I'm going to lift it out. Put a little bit of brown in here. Oh, that's much better. So I've warmed that up now, and I need a line to be put here. That's better. So warm that up. I'm going to warm this one up now. And because there is a darker green or a different coloured green underneath it, it will change the colour on top. Okay, so we've got that. This is still a little bit too much for me. So I'm going to might just that's a bit okay, but still too much similarity. So now what I'm looking at is the opposite to this would be red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a much bigger brush because I can, and I'm going to now isolate. Oh no, it's browns and greens. So reds and oranges would look good. Opposite colours. I'm looking, so purples. I think I'm going to go with purples, you know, purples and reds. So purpley reds, yeah. So I'm going to get my colour palette. So let's see. Be bold. Go for it. There's no colour police. Well, if there is, they're not here. They're not here at all. Yeah, I quite like that because I can add a shot of the bright red, but I can also bring the purple in. Right, so I'm just going to go with now really you should wait. Now we're going, you know, instead of the craft world, now we're going into the art world. But this could be anything for your own work. This could be a topper. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. So and if this doesn't look how I want it to, then it really doesn't matter because I can change it up with the next set of colours. So I'm going to use maybe bright red. Now this is where you can sort of just ignore some sections, because if they're really too small, then I don't think they'll have much of an impact on it. But if they're really quite, you know, sizable, and you will notice, then don't ignore them and do them in a different colour. So if I add like that, don't ignore that. That's well worth putting another colour on. But if it was any lighter, I would, any smaller, I think I'd, you know, just ignore it. Like there was one there. I mean, I could put it on now, but at the time it just looked stupid me doing it because it just bleed everywhere. So if you've got a bit of paint on your paintbrush, you know, just do that. And you've got a bit of extra paint on it. So using lots of water does help to sort of, some of your colours might be a bit bland or bright, and so using lots of water can make them lighter, or less water will make them darker. You see, I'm not actually liking the background yet, but that really don't matter because as I work on it, with the other stuff. It changes. So bringing a bit of the purple in now to change the tone slightly, because I think I've got to be careful that one doesn't overtake the other, and the purples might and reds might be overtaking the browns. So there's a trick. Don't worry, there's a trick. If you really wobble on your lines, don't worry. Just, do another line. So here I'm going to put a red. And I might, so I'm looking at that now and I'm thinking, do I mix all those or do I just do that colour? One colour. And I'm thinking, I'll do it one colour. There's a lot of sections in it, but I don't want to do them because the section in I want to be in the middle. So we're getting there now. We're getting there. Oh yeah, I mean, I can just do as much as I want with this, Jenny. I don't have to do it like this. I can add all different sort of ideas to the top of this or the back of it. I don't have to keep one on the other. It's just a way of showing it to you guys so you can sort of get an idea of what I mean by it, because I can try and explain stuff like this, but seeing it is miles better, I think. Sometimes it's like really difficult to explain something and you're like half an hour later you're still none the wiser. So by me doing it, I create a little bit more understanding for people who are visual learners like myself. It's I learn by watching. You give me all the instructions in the world, but still you'd have to give it me by thingy as well. Visuals just doesn't take as long for me to take it in. Here it's quite a dense colour. Purple's a really difficult colour in that it's because it's man-made and it doesn't team well. Right, I don't like that, and I'm not supposed to like it at the moment. But we will get there, we will get there. So, excuse me, around the very edge here, I'm going to add a tiny bit of the brown. Right, okay, so now I'm going to go all the way around with the brown. You can see what's happening. But I'm not leaving it like that because that looks really bad. But I'm just going to. Now this, to me, automatically makes the appearance of a more 3D. Not at the moment because it just looks like a black line around it, but I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And it doesn't matter if we're touching the same colour on the inside, because it's on a purple, you won't see it as much. Oh, that's good. That's really good. That's what I want. I want you to do that. So the next bit is we want to get rid of that and we need to blend that line out. So we're just getting a little bit of water, but we're not blending them all together. We're running the risk of like mutating the colour, or as they say, contaminating. So you just take it down in each colour so that it blends into each colour and it's a lot softer. Yeah, it is about colour blending, Jenny, and colour work. Yeah, all of this. That's what Cubism is. It's about colour and pattern and form, and you know. Right, so here, just any visible lines that look a bit dodgy, just get rid of them by blending. So now we've got something that looks mildly. Now, if it's still a bit too visible, then just go back in like that. And just blend it out again. And you can use the sections as well. So if you want the sections to be a bit darker like there, just add a bit more water around it. If there's some sections that need to be different from the one next to it, add a little bit of brown or something. So I'm quite happy with that now. And yeah, it seems to have dried quite well. So I'm going to put my paints away and on to the next bit. Now, I was going to do 2 lessons on this, 2 different things, but I think it'll get really boring. So what I thought was I might as well combine the 2 like I would when I'm doing my artwork. When I'm doing my own artwork, I would combine these 2 elements, not just have one. So I'm just going to take that away because I know I'm going to bounce that water everywhere it shouldn't. So put my gear away. Well, when I say put it away, I just mean move it over there. I'm going to pull out now. Let me see. These should be enough. My Faber-Castell. I'm going to use my pencil. So I'm going to look for the browns. Now I've got my big bad boys here, but if I've got enough browns in this, I'll stick with this. Because, you know, you might not have all them big colours. So, are them watercolours? Oh, let's use finger colours. Oh, well, I'll use watercolours. Doesn't matter. So, a bit of orangey brown there. So, I'm just pulling out all my browns. And these are watercolours, but you can use whatever colour you want. Now, I need an ochre. Okay, so ignore the background. And now what I'm going to do is I am just going to put in, what I'm going to do is just go around the edges. Like that. Now it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but I am. So back. So I put a little bit of that on. I'm going to go in with the orangey colour now. So I'm just going really scruffily. You won't do this with the other pencils. This is only when you're using watercolours. If I was using my Faber-Castell pencil, as in water pencil, coloured pencils, then I would be a little bit more take time shading it and everything. I wouldn't be like so gung-ho as I'm doing here, because there is a reason, and I'll show you. So I'm looking at some of these and I think I'm going to bring this in a little bit warmer. So let's look at this one. Going with a a grey colour with that brown. Can you see? It looks awful, but then what I'm going to do is, she says, right, so I can get a water brush, or I can get like a very fine brush. I'll use a water brush. Oh no, I'll use this very fine one just when I'm doing this. And now I wouldn't, normally I would do this with other pencils. I wouldn't be as, I wouldn't be using water now. I'd just be shading, and it is quite difficult to shade. So I'm just bringing the colour out. I'm not really bothering to clean the brush either. Some of it may need, like this one is quite a heavy pencil colour, so I'm just going to do that. All I'm doing, going around these colours, picking up the lines I've done, watering down the lines, and you've got like quite a lot more prominence in the colour. But you know, if I was doing this with the other ones, I would shade in this now. So I'm quite happy with that, quite happy, right? But what I want to do is a little bit more shading. So I'm just going to take this, which is the black. Oh no, sorry, I didn't think I'd picked up black. This is indigo. Talking of indigo, it's Kate's birthday today. I think she's in Germany, India at the moment. I've not spoken to her for years. She's a wonderful lady. Wonderful. Do need to contact her. So the indigo's round here. Just like that. And then I'm going to bring out I think I'm just going to try again with the what I'm going to do is try and deaden the colours by toning them down. So when you're toning down colours, you just use the opposites too. So red would be green, yellow would be purple, and blue would be orange. And it's also allowing it to just bleed a little bit. So you're putting the water down where you want it to carry. Can't help thinking that I used to see lots of people moaning about creating craft. They don't like this, they don't like that. I'm wondering what they feel like now. Now it's gone. I really miss it. Having the choice to put it on or off, who to watch, what not, you know. So we've got our acorn, and basically we've put a flat colour down. We're washing this out now, and I'm going to bring in a little bit more there, so it's not as I don't want the back as visual as the front, but in some you would have that, you know, you'd have the foreground really muted and the background really bright. But here, you know, we've got lots of colour going on within that. So I really love this, the idea of it being so simple to do. So what I'm going to do, is I'm going to leave that for a minute, and I'm going to get my other one. So I should have drew this before, but hey, I'll do it again for you. So right. So I will get my line for this, which is a 8. I'm just going to draw it in quickly. Quite cartoony, but hey ho. Doesn't matter. I don't care. So I'm going to show it you just in pencil, and I think this is a really good idea of how we can have the same approach, the same idea, but completely change it. So I'm going to go in with quite I can, with my pencil shading and graphite shading, I can go, you know, build up layers, because I'm not worried about clashing around like that. We're just going to colour it in. Now, we've done this before, believe it or not. You've touched on this before when we were doing the dots and stuff. So we're going to use it again. So what you can do is you can leave the background in if you wish, or you can move on. Oh, that's great. You're welcome. I love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get an ordinary pencil, okay? And I'm just going to show you what I mean. So here is darker to light. Now I'm going to change direction. Darker. Now if you find that, you can always put another line in like that. So here we'll go so let's go for darker to lighter. This really helps your drawing skills. and your shading skills, because if you can do it with a pencil, you can do it with a pen and a paintbrush and anything else you want. We're just basically changing direction of light to dark. So and if it's too much whilst you're blending, give it rub it out and then go over it again, you know. So I personally prefer not to use my finger all the time to rub out, because to blend, because I think knowing how the pressure of the pencil is really important. If you don't know the pressure of the pencil, you're going to find it difficult with a paintbrush. So I like to blend and then you get a really good feel for it. So here we've just done some really quite dark shading. You could take this a lot lighter if you wished. You know, you can have it on two sides, so it's going like a diagonal light. And then clean up some of the edges. Now you could do this, and each one of these could be a different coloured piece of paper. And all you need to do is just draw one and trace it off loads of times. I'm going to put in some quite little dark areas there, because I think that would look quite good. Yeah, it's worked out. So we've got that. So quite like that. We've got our study there. It's a bit obvious, it's stupid here, but let's go for something else then. So we're going to do the same in this, but I'm just going to do the small areas are in dots. So anywhere there's a small area where I'm placing the dots closer together, and this, don't forget, this would work for any colour. We've done this before. So I'm doing all the darks with small dots closer together. Like that. And again, like I shaded here, I'm going light to dark. So the next part, I have a part that's a lot of dots next to very few. Like that. You see? You need a few more, and I would suggest using a finer pen as well. So you can get the same effect using a finer pen. So you can add to it or do the same thing and it'll look totally different. You can add to these with a finer pen, or do this with a finer pen, is what I mean. And I might just go back into all these little areas where it's needing a little bit of density. Right, so we've got some dots. So now let's go with some lines. So what I've done is I do them all the same size. I'll do a big one. Space them out. And then less. And again here. So the lines are closer together. Yes, yeah, absolutely, Jenna. Right, so now what we're going to do is the same. But this time, cross hatching. So hatching is one way, cross hatching is both ways. So I'll just show you again. So we go okay, and then where we're crossing might be here. I'll put a couple more in there because it looks a bit better. So let's go for cross hatching again. A few more dots in there. This one could be dots as well because then it'll make any dodgy lines I've got there. It's now well hidden. You've got to think about whether, you know, the lines you're using, do they look right where you've put them? Should they be closer? Should they be heavier? You know? So we've got all these different lines sort of going in different directions. I can add, you know, I could just do it with interaction on lines. So you get me? A play on lines to create the movement. Really simple to do. Seriously, I mean that. So if I wanted to, on the top of this, just add a few dots on top of the pencil, just to give it a little bit of depth if you need it. You don't need a lot, like that. So let's have a quick look at this. It's still really damp, this, but I'm hoping I can do a little bit with this. So where it's dark, I'm just going to settle in some lines. That might kill my pen. Now, you can't really see him that much, but it's giving it the idea of being shaded, so to speak. At first, I drew the lines dissecting it, but now the lines have slightly changed, so I can now change my lines to suit. You don't have to put these lines on. I can now add as many or leave as many out as I want. I've had to put an extra one in because I went over, but that really don't matter. I'll put an extra one in down here and even it up. There we go. A minute. Somebody at the door. Thank you. It's my paper for the calm group on Monday at the monastery. Creativity, art and learning at the monastery. So we've got our lines on. It's giving it more depth. Oh, you're welcome, Dawn. It's always a pleasure to see you. It's killing my pen. Come on, don't. No, I've only got one number 8. We brought it back. Just be careful when you do that. It's a real bugbear. Just had a little bit of shading on this. This has gone slightly different to what I wanted, but I'm quite happy with that. I like that because that's what happens in your own time and space, doesn't it, when you're doing your own work. First time I've done some artwork for ages because I've been concentrating on getting all my embroidery done, but I love it. I'm going to do my swaps now. I've got the idea. But yeah, the next one will be slightly different because we'll be using collage. But yeah, so you've dissected it. You've done all sorts. We've done a curved one where we're looking at it slightly curved. We've done an acorn where we've dissected it. And when this is dry, you can get your ordinary pencils out. Then what we've done is a quick study using lines and, different sort of dots, textures and stuff to create that. Pencil, we've used a pen. When you then take away the rubbish in the background, you get to see, and if it's too heavy at the bottom, you get to see what it's like with a, taking a little bit of the weight off, which is like that. So we've got the cubism, and it would only, I'm not as happy as I thought it was going to be, but that's because I've chosen colours that completely are not what I want, just not what I want. However, if I was to put that in there and change that out and put that on white, you would get a very different picture. So what I would do is trace this out again and then put it on white with the brown. It'd look beautiful. Or I'd just do it. You know, there's lots of ways. So the drawing is what we did at the beginning there. And I've put like a little crib sheet for you. And then this is, you know, the patterning I saw. So we did that drawing. That's for the Patreon page. And then we did this one and this one. And I think I would really work on this one. So maybe for next lesson, I will add on Faber-Castell, not watercolours, but the other ones, the pencil shading. And I might even do one in pencil shading because I just think the nature of that looks stunning with watercolour on top. So yeah, yeah, I think I'd like to chop that out actually and put another one on. But this is how it happens. This is how it all happens. So next week, you need your acorn again. We can chop it up and make it into the next one, which would be hang on, the Cubism one somewhere. But we did the Cubism one. I do this. The Cubism one, anyway, you saw that, didn't you? Where I drew the circle. I punched the circles out and then made the word out of it. I can't find the circle ones that we've done. Oh, it's over there on the floor. So remember, that's what we can do. We're going to work on dissecting lines next week. Different flowers and things like that, and how we can draw them and how we can section things. Yeah, and I really think I should cut that out. I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to cut it out. So I'm just cutting out. I'm using single. I'm not chopping. I'm just cutting the length of my scissors. Now, what you could, that'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? You can add that to anything you've got, a different coloured paper. This would be cool. Like that on there, which I really like that. Or you could use, yeah, that's much better. You know, rice papers. I really like that idea. I think that's what I want to do with it. I think that works better for me. And then, yeah, that's the one. That is it. And then I could even put that on there. But it's lost a little bit. So what I think that means is, where's it gone, that other one? Perfect. So sometimes you've got to be truthful. If it's not ringing your bell, it's not ringing your bell. So I'm putting that on there. Okay. That's miles better. Okay. Yep. Now. Okay, let's see. Well, it doesn't have to be upside down, does it? It doesn't have to be straight. So, the first thing I did, if it's not happy, and you're not happy, it's not finished. So if you don't like it, it's not finished. I always say that to people. So be ready to swap and be ready to look at maybe different ways of doing it, or adding or taking away, and it might be the thing that makes you happier with your work. And I'm much happier now, much happier. And just to add, I'm adding a little bit of depth there. There we go. Give it that. Okay, so, oh, I'm much happier now. Do you agree? Do you agree? Much happier. And I could even have put it on there in sections, but this is a really good way. If you've got anything like this, and if you haven't got anything like this, just cut up strips of rice paper for next lesson, and then we can build on this. But I'm much happier now, much happier. Sometimes you've just got to let go, haven't you? Right, so yeah, that's me. I'm happy with that. Actually, I like that on its own. But if you look at Cubism now, it'll be quite interesting to see how yours mirrors Cubism. I'm going to put writing round there, or even on here. That Cubism. I've got some sticky stuff on there, so I can put that on another piece. But I really love this. Just a tiny bit. There we go. That's better. You see, I'm just adding a little bit of depth. Just that little darkness there. And you might not be able to see it. I just get carried away, don't I? Yes. And I just think that adds that little something to it. It's glue, that. Makes it a bit darker. It's probably not even visible to you, but I really like it. So, next week, get some strips done. We're going to go into Cubism in a slightly different way, but now you've found the simple basics of it, you can do it in anything you want. If you've got a popper, like, that's not a great poppy, Okay, so we've got a poppy like that. You can just dissect any of it, and as long as the two colours aren't touching and the light and darks are on different sides, we'll get different cubisms. And the next thing you look at is like, say we do we can look at facets on rings and diamonds, and it's a form of cubism. You get your different, a table of it, then that's your table, and then it's like dissected with different lines, and the circle would be princess, square cut, round cut, all these different cuts, and they're all made to refract the light. So yeah, you get to learn all sorts of different things. I hope you enjoyed that. I've got to go. So next Friday here, 12 o'clock, as always. I'm going to slip a little sneaky one in the middle of the week, and I'm going to just be an hour of maybe stitching with you, and I'm going to do some like little tiny stitching ideas, but we'll get moving with the cubism into different areas as well. So next Friday, 12 o'clock, I will see you here. And I'd love you to, if you want to do some lives in the group, please do. And if you want to see other people doing lives, please let them know that we're, it'll be good. And we've got some lives coming up. So I hope you enjoyed that. I thoroughly did. And until next Friday, I will love you and leave you. Bye now.